Hey, got a bunch I'm going to tell you that I bet you didn't know. Come on, hop aboard and let's go for a little boat ride. And when we get there, I've got some real interesting things I want to share with you. Bill, do you believe a $15 lure will outfish a $5 lure? I think we think too much about purchasing baits, way more than the bass worries about striking one. Take tubes, for example. Sure, they may make a better $15 hammer, but do we really need to spend a lot of money on one when a much lesser price performs just as well? You know, a lot of money doesn't always equal more fish caught. And the case for having more money than sense can and does apply to fishing, as it does to so many other facets in our life. As long as you consider the conditions and fish the best lure for those conditions, and then fish that bait for the right depth with the right presentation, I believe a bass will hit all models that are similar, whether the bait cost, say, $4 or $20. Let me tell you a little story. I remember buying a crankbait, one of those big swim baits, while doing a promotion for one of my sponsors in Southern California. I spent $22 for that bait. Bill, have you lost your mind? That's what a friend of mine said that was with me. If Diane finds out you spent $22 for a fishing bait, she'll divorce you. Now, wait. No, not for buying it, for what happened the next day. When I used it, I lost the doggone thing. Never again. Never, never, never again. Where are you going, buddy? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, sir. That's a nice one. That hook is just right in his top lip too. That's a good fish. Oh, look at it boil. Oh yeah, he's a dandy. That fish didn't look that big at first. There it is. He wanted that little bitty bait. Throw this bait over here. That's a pretty fish. Woo! Okay, baby, let's go home. There she goes. Taking off. Yes, sir. I'm gonna tell you something. When that fish first hit, I had no idea that fish was that big. Okay, here's an easy one. I know the Rebel Pop-R is one of your favorite topwater lures. Mine also. My question is it possible to create a louder popping or blooping sound to these lures? If you're using mono, switch to fluorocarbon. Using braid, add a section of fluorocarbon later. Why? Well, first, let's discuss the best presentation. Use a quick downward rod tip motion on a 12 to 14 inch slack line to catch air to show maximum popping action without too much forward movement. Wrist and eye coordination plays a big part in this. Now, the fluorocarbon line really helps here by pulling the Pop-R down for a better and deep kablooping sound. Why? Because fluorocarbon sinks, which helps the pop. Hey, going from one extreme to the other, there's another little tip you can do that'll increase the bloop, bloop, bloop. Whatever the size of the Pop-R you're using, remove the rear hook and replace it with one size bigger. Example, if the lure has a number 8 treble, replace it with a number 6. If it's got a number 6, replace it with a number 4. This will allow the bait to sit lower in the water with the mouth pointed more at an upward angle. that allows the concave mouth to push much more air and water. Told you. Whoa, boy. Horse right there too, boy. Ooh-wee. Easy, buddy. I never knew a lot about sound and a lure like a crankbait until I went to work for Cotton Cordell. Cotton knew the importance of sound, and when he made the Spot, the lure we're using today, he put a sound chamber in the Spot. And there's a funny story that came from that. He put it wasn't a tungsten weight, but it was a piece of lead in the bait. And a fisherman, he bought a couple, 2 or 3 of the baits, a Spot, and he dropped one of them on the floor. And when he picked the bait up, he was moving the bait. He noticed that when he shook the bait, it made a rattling sound. Well, he went on, he went fishing, and he used that particular bait. And the other bait didn't make that clacking sound. But anyway, he used the one that made the sound. And he caught a lot of fish on it. But so happened that day he lost that bait. And he tied the other one on, and he didn't have too much success with it. And he wondered why one rattled and the other one didn't. And he went back to the store where he purchased both of those Spots. They were identical color. One rattled and the other one didn't. And he asked the clerk, he said, I want one of those Spots that rattles. And the clerk said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have rattling Spots. And he said, well, I had one that rattled and I caught a lot of fish on it. Well, the fisherman had so much confidence in the one that rattled, he called the factory over at Hot Springs, Cordell Lure Company. And the person he had on the phone said, well, we don't make a rattling Spot. And the guy said, well, yeah, you do. He said, I used one, I caught a lot of fish on it. You could even almost hear it underwater when you pulled it. It made a tremendously inviting sound. And he said, well, let me let you talk to the president of the company. So Cotton got on the phone. And Cotton was just one of the sweetest guys you'd ever want to know, the old country boy. And he started talking to this fellow. He said, tell me the story. And the country boy, old boy, said, I bought a couple of your baits, and one of them had a good rattle to it, and I caught a lot of fish on it, and the other one didn't. And Cotton said, well, what did it sound like? And he said, well, when you shook it, it had a real kind of a knocking sound to it, and the other one didn't. He said, I dropped it on the floor, and I picked it up, and when I picked it up, it rattled. And I just tied it on. I went fishing the next day, and I used that bait, and I lost it. And I tied the other one on, and I didn't have near the success with it as I did with the one that rattled. And Cotton said, you dropped it on the floor? And he said, yeah, I dropped it on the floor. Well, Cotton reached over and had a couple on his desk. He just picked it up and threw one on the floor and picked it up and shook it, and it started rattling. Well, what had happened, Cotton put 2 and 2 together real quick. The sound chamber in the bait has glue in it that protected this lead weight. And what happened, it broke loose. And the one that Cotton threw on the floor, he shook it, and sure enough, it went, it rattled too. And that was the invention, a mistake turned into one of the hottest selling baits. And that was the invention of the rattling Spot. Hey, our good friend and pro fisherman Brent Chapman has been telling America how to use Garmin graphs for quite some time now. First, I asked Brent to tell me a little bit about the EchoMap Plus series, and here's what he had to say.
Well, the Echo Map comes in the original 7-inch screen and now a new 9-inch model with the same crystal clear sonar and preloaded mapping as the previous units. And now with Keyed Assist touchscreen and built-in Wi-Fi, it lets you use the Active Captain app as well.
Then I asked Brent how he planned on using this unit.
You know, Sonar is amazing. Been using traditional sonar my whole career, finding fish and looking below the boat and knowing my depth. And then we've got side view that I'm able to scan to the sides, see fish and cover that's not underneath the boat but out to the sides. And now with Panoptics, I can actually approach an area, I can see the fish or cover out in front of the boat and fish for them in real time before I get the boat on top of them.
Now that's some good information, Brent. Thanks. Oh, look here. Oh, 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 oh. That's a good one there. Oh, yeah, coming up. Oh, come on back up here. Oh boy. Look at that tugging. Got one hook in it. All right, don't jump it. All right, where is that hook? Got in the bottom lip. Can't keep up with my pliers. Everywhere. It's that big, Jesse. Yes. On the spot, Cotton. Got him on the spot. Look at him. See him? That's for you, buddy. Whew, what a nice fish. And what a nice day. And like what I said when we started our trip today, who really knows what these baits are precisely supposed to represent, if anything? Obviously, bass know they represent one extremely large category called food. And as long as they keep doing that, I'm going to keep fishing. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Now I've gone fishing with Bill Dance today.